Leave suffering so that it doesn't become overwhelming and such a heavy burden that you feel you can't cope. That's what we're going to be talking about, isn't it?
We're going to be discussing why suffering in silence is actually giving you a lot more pain than if you learnt to open up about it. And we're also going to discuss why we understand that perhaps opening up is difficult.
Because it can make you feel vulnerable, and maybe in the past you weren't heard, so you feel as if you have to put a wall of defense up.
Yes.
So that's going to be this week's episode of Get Real
with the English Sisters.
If you enjoy this episode, please do subscribe, follow us, and come and check us out on YouTube too, because do you know what? It's making the world of difference to us.
It really is. Right. So yeah.
If you suffer, and you're saying that if you suffer, if something happens to you and it causes sufferance, and you keep it all in, or maybe you've tried to tell someone about it and that you haven't been heard, it can become so much worse.
Well, yes, it can become a lot worse. It can literally eat you up, from inside. These feelings of anxiety can be so much stronger than if you actually speak up about it. But we do know, as therapists and as human beings, why sometimes speaking up is not easy.
And you choose not to say, because you might tell someone about something and they just turn a blind eye.
Yeah, because maybe in the past you did speak up about something, whether it was whatever it was, something that made you suffer, whether it was at school or with your caregivers, your caretakers, your parents, whoever it was, and you just didn't feel as if you were heard, or it was brushed off.
Whereas if your pain's not acknowledged, because sometimes you just have to acknowledge someone's pain for them to already feel better.
Instantly,
because a lot of our pain is actually, it's real, but a lot of the pain is actually in the brain, and it's created by the brain for us to warn us about something.
Yeah, you're so right about that. Yeah. And if it's acknowledged by another brain, by somebody else, but really acknowledged, like you have that somebody is really listening to you, somebody that can also understand what you've been going through, that's going to make...
Yeah, but I think even if they can't understand, because I don't think anyone can understand your particular situation, you can...
Suffering is individual.
Yeah, it's individual, right, and you can. I think if just someone is there for you and they'll listen to you, and they'll just say, "I'm here for you," and they go down to where you are, so they go down to your level and they just sit with you or whatever, listening to what you have to say. It's already so much better, I think.
But that's not easy, is it? At
it's
times,
easy,
especially
people often, we want to offer advice, or we want to say, yeah, that happens to me, and then you go on to your own little rant about what happened to you, and you're forgetting that you're supposed to be with that person.
Yeah.
You know, how many times has someone said, oh, I feel bad about this, and then the other person just says, oh, yeah, me too, I had that terrible thing happen to me, and it was awful.
That is nice, because they're relating to it, but it might not be the same.
It's not the same. They're taking away from what you're actually experiencing at the moment, and then it just becomes their kind of show.
And that's why you learn to suffer in silence, because the whole discussion here is, why have you learnt to suffer in silence, and why and how you can get out of this loop. Even if you can't share your story or your sufferance with somebody that's close to you, you can definitely share it with somebody that can listen, and whether that's a professional or whether it's just joining a forum. Sometimes joining a forum online can be so helpful.
Online groups and forums that can really help you, because you'll find people that maybe have been in similar situations to yours, even though not exactly the same, but you'll get examples of what it's like, and you'll feel more heard.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, suffering is part of life. Suffering is inevitable, but don't make it a permanent destination.
Oh, yeah.
Don't make it a permanent destination. Learn from it, grow from it, and let it go.
Exactly.
This is what I was reading these quotes about on the Mayo Clinic. A psychologist was talking about it. No matter how strong you are, suffering alone is so much harder than sharing some of that burden.
And a lot of the times when you are suffering alone, because you're suffering, you might want to push people away from you as well, because you'll feel as if that's the only way you can just kind of cope with the pain or the suffering being on your own. But that tends to make things worse.
It definitely makes things worse. There is no outlet.
You have isolation. You just feel isolated.
Yeah, you just feel lonely in your own suffering. And whereas it's really not necessary anymore. There are so many people that can get you. They can become part of your tribe. They can help you out of this loop of the suffering alone.
I know, because sometimes it can be something really trivial. It doesn't have to be really, it can be a breakup of maybe a relationship that kind of never was. You might have had a crush on someone and it never actually happened, but you still feel really deeply for that person. So you might be mourning
the love that
like
never
that.
was.
And someone else, you might tell someone else that your friend, and you say, well, yeah, that nothing even happened. You didn't even go out with that person in the end. What are you talking about? You only had a few, you were only just chatting for a few times online. Well, so what? And you're not heard. But for you, it was maybe something really important because you were starting to fall for that person. And for
you're
you,
grieving.
and it's a big deal.
And
so
you're not
it's a
understood.
form of grief.
Yes.
Yeah, and then sometimes it can be something really serious, obviously, that's more serious, that could have more implications for your health or for your life or whatever.
Yeah, but even then, a lot of the times, other people might just brush it off. You might have said something and say, oh, well, yeah, okay, lots of people suffer from that illness or suffer from that nowadays. You'll be fine. Just stay positive. You'll be fine. And so once you get that so many times, in the end,
you learn to be quiet, don't you?
Yeah, you don't really want to talk about it. And the truth is you're really frightened and scared, but it's difficult to open up if you just get somebody else that just says, yeah, you'll be fine. Because the problem is they're scared too. Like if you receive a diagnosis or something that's quite scary, your loved ones are also frightened. So they'll tend to build up kind of like a wall around them as well.
To
protect themselves and just think, no, that person that I love is just going to be fine. And chances are you are going to be fine. But you're also really, really scared. And to have somebody actually say, yeah, I know it's okay for you to be really scared at this moment in time can be really, really helpful for you, because you can share without just having that bright face and say, yeah, I know everything's going to be fine. So any of you out there that have had some kind of a diagnosis, whatever it is, like a health scare, you probably know what I'm talking about now. And you can relate to this, and you can also understand that what your family members, what the people that you love and your friends, when they do say that, it is because they're terribly scared themselves and they don't really want to open up.
They don't want to go there, do
they? They don't want to go there.
They just want to get on with their own day and
because
kind of not worry about that.
It makes them feel as if, it's a reminder that we're not here forever. I think.
Also, it can maybe make them feel inadequate, because they might feel as if they don't know what to do to help you, so they might...
They're scared.
Yeah, they might show their love in different ways as well. They might like make you a cake or make you your favourite dinner.
Yeah, but they just don't want to talk about that thing and say, like, I don't want to talk about that diagnosis you've received, because it's just too scary for them as well.
They might make you a nice meal or do something sweet for you, and they're kind of saying, I'm here for you in a different way. So I think if you can learn to catch on to those, to identify those subtleties as well.
Yes,
you can see that
you can
feel
better.
Feel like that person,
you're sharing your kind of suffering in, even if it's not in is it
Like in England is let's have a cup of tea.
Yes, it's not.
And that's like saying I hear you.
I hear you. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And then you might talk about something completely different.
Yeah, but you're together.
But you're like, yeah, you're sharing that moment. And obviously, if you can also say, hey, I know this is a scary, thing. I'm also scared. I can appreciate the fact that you might be scared. And I'm glad you're telling me I'm going to be fine. But maybe sometimes I need you to also just, hug me or, just acknowledge the fact that I'm also frightened. And that could be, that's in the case of a health scare. But there's also other things like what you were saying, like relationship, like when
there's absolutely anything.
you break up,
it could be anything.
You might have been married for a long time and then you break up and then, you're just feeling devastated. Yeah. There can be moments
and then
extremely
other people
hard.
say if it is like that and you're going through a divorce or something, and you've been together for like 10, 15 years or whatever, or more.
Yeah.
People might say, "Oh well, never
yeah.
mind." Divorce
I'm
is
in
so
my third
now.
marriage, and that's not, that's supposed to help you. You're like feeling okay. I'm sorry I shared this information at the moment because you've been literally cut off, and this just happens all the time. It can also happen if you're a very empathetic person and you're constantly listening to what your friends have to say and you give them all your attention and you're there for them. And then the moment you share something, you feel as if they're not really listening to you. Then you're not, because the truth is you're not really being heard in the way you need to be heard. And so that can also happen. But
I think that's when you have to go outside and look for for groups or forums like what you say. Look for
people,
outside help for people that maybe will
that
be
can
willing to
get
listen.
you. They can understand what you're trying to say. They're not just going to say it's all fine, you'll get married soon, or you'll find a new love, or whatever it is. You'll get pregnant quickly. These are delicate moments in one's life, and they're a moment. They are suffering. You are suffering, whether you're trying to get pregnant, you want to get married, or you want to, whatever it is, whatever moment in your life that you're in. There are moments where you can share. If you can share, you'll feel a lot less anxiety, really, basically, if you can share these moments.
Well, I think you feel less isolated and less anxious and less stressed by it if you're sharing it with the right person.
I honestly think internet is a blessing in that way nowadays.
Because you can
it's
find
one of the
communities.
Definitely. And you can share even delicate things, you can share anonymously as well.
You can be able to share things like when you're doing something you feel uncomfortable because you have to go to the bathroom all the time.
Yes.
Or it could be something like that. Or you say if you're going out in a group you feel uncomfortable because you always have to check where the bathroom is and you have to always be going towards it, and you might feel embarrassed because you need the bathroom a lot.
Yeah.
It could be something like that you would, it's nothing
physical things,
it's a physical thing that isn't,
they're not dramatic, they're not life threatening,
it's not like you have to go every 5 minutes or anything, but it's something that's causing you anxiety, and you may think, we had clients like that, didn't
yes
you may think that my friends won't understand if I have to check the bathroom, where are the toilets in this place,
exactly,
where are the restrooms, and especially if you're going for a long time, or you might have social anxiety and your friends don't quite understand, and you might feel that if there's too many people you might feel palpitations, and you might start to get anxious and feel panicky. And I think there where if you can share with other people that have had similar experiences, they'll tell you, yes, but I use this and this to cope with that, and you'll feel like more,
you feel less lonely, you feel less lonely.
You feel as if other people aren't as perfect
as what they make out to be,
they make out to be, because they probably got all the same, like what we wrote in our book.
They do.
Everybody uses loo paper. Everybody uses toilet
Everybody
paper.
goes to the toilet.
We're all the same deep down, but we have all these little quirky things. Some of us acknowledge them and we admit them. Other people just keep them in and they don't acknowledge them, and then afterwards they'll come out 10 years later they have a heart attack, or they get some disease because they're keeping everything in and they're not admitting that they're feeling vulnerable or weak, or that they have these weaknesses that most of us have. And we're taught to put a brave front on a brave face and, you know, not show the world that we have these weaknesses. I mean, you could. I'm
It's
just
the only
even
way
thinking
to
about
truly-
younger people.
Yeah.
You might even be frightened of doing your CV because you haven't got much to put on it. It could be
Yeah.
something as
Yeah.
basic as that. That
Yeah.
you think, oh,
Going
anyone
into
else
the
would
wo-
say it's not
going
a big
into the
deal.
job, you
Yeah.
know, the working world is a big deal. That
Exactly.
is really.
I mean,
Yeah.
wherever you are in the world, you know, whatever age you are, you're listening to this. I'm sure there's something that you will have think, yeah, a problem shared is a problem halved.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you share how you're feeling and you feel acknowledged, it's going to be a lot
There's
better for
nothing
you.
more lovely than having someone actually really understand what you're saying. And why are you
Sometimes
laughing?
because I'm laughing because I was thinking I was just babbling on to my hubby the other day,
And,
and
yeah.
I'm sure he wasn't even listening.
No,
But it still made me feel better.
Yeah, no matter what it was, yeah.
Afterwards, I thought, I bet he didn't listen to half of what I was saying. He's probably in his own little world.
But was it
thinking
something that was causing you some kind of
it was
sufferance,
something that
anxiety?
I
Yeah.
had to resolve, and I was just thinking, here I am. But no, I was thinking, like, sometimes I get scared when I have to do this. It gets me stressed out. And he was saying,
Yeah. Okay.
Like if I'm walking fast, like when we go for a walk or we're playing golf for a long time,
yeah.
I just can't eat. Like I get really hungry, but I can't just eat like when when I'm really rushed because like my stomach closes.
Right.
And he was just saying, "Oh yeah, sure, but you can't eat on the go." Oh no, I have no problem with that. And I was thinking, and he's not even that bothered.
Well, I suppose he probably
It's a
didn't
trivial
realise
thing.
it's a trivial thing.
It's a trivial thing, but it was
It
for
was
me,
one of your
it was
lim-
important.
Yeah.
It was making me have a harder time
Keeping up
through
the
my
energy,
day,
I
keeping
guess,
my energy
yeah.
levels up. Anyway, I'm just thinking that even, silly little trivial things like that, even if you share them, sometimes if they are as trivial as that, you can share them with people, and even if you feel as if you're not that acknowledged, I suppose I do feel acknowledged by my husband.
You
So
do, yeah.
even if I thought in that moment he wasn't that listening, it's still like a lending ear that you're...
Yes. In that particular case, it is. But for example, like my son, he suffers from chronic migraines, which means that he could be having a migraine twice or even 3 times in 1 week, and it can be literally invalidating. And I was telling him, I think you should share this with somebody that can really understand you. Because I've also suffered from migraines, unfortunately, in my life. And so I do understand, but I've never quite had as many as that. So sometimes it's like, what, another migraine, in the same week, and it's hard.
It's practically never ending.
It's practically, that. And so I said to him, perhaps I think you should go and look up a forum. He said, what can a forum do, Mum? I need people like, when I tell my friend, nobody understands what I'm talking about. So in the end, I just pretend I'm fine. They only ever see me when I go out in the evening and I'm fine. I never, ever talk to anyone. And if I do, they say, oh, yeah, I've had a headache as well. I know what you're talking about. He said, but my headaches aren't just like one headache once every 6 months. It's like chronic. So I said, look for somebody, look for forums. And I helped him, and we found a forum. And when he joined it, and then he cried out of relief when he saw the forum. He said, I can really relate to that. So, I mean, it was like a moment of opening up and to reading what other people have to say, even if they're complete strangers, can make you not feel alone. So there is.
I think it's also because he felt heard by you, because
definitely, because I made the effort
to look for something that might be able to help him.
Yeah, you're right. It was probably that as well. Yeah, most
So
likely.
he felt understood.
He
that
thought,
you
wow,
you think, Mum's taking all this effort to do this for me.
Yeah, I actually joined the forum to
thinking-
support him as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she's obviously thinking about me. So I think that's where it's a two-way thing. It's also the forum, but I think it's also because you were showing particular understanding.
Yeah, we're trying to help. Yeah, you're
towards
right.
his suffering.
Yeah, that can really, yeah. obviously, yeah, that helps as lot as well. If you've got somebody at home or a friend that actually goes to a special effort to try and find something for you, then you're not
sometimes
alone.
when you are in this particular, if you are really distressed or suffering, you really haven't got the energy or the resources to go and bother.
No, yeah, exactly.
You can't. You just can't cope with it. You can think, oh no, I can't do that now.
You can't, yeah.
You don't even want to go there to bother looking for something if you're in pain and suffering. So that's where community comes in, and having other people. So you may not be the one suffering now, but you may hear this and think, yeah, I know someone that's going through a tough time.
You've hit it on the nail. Yeah, it's important.
It's important to be aware that it might not be happening to you, but you might be able to help someone that it's happening to.
Just literally, yeah.
So really, this is for everybody.
Opening up and talking about it. That can really help. Yeah, even if you think like nobody.
I'm fine, but you might be fine, but someone around you might not be.
Yeah, so sharing a past experience.
You might be the one to be able to be there to listen to that person and hear that person.
Yeah, you're so right about that. Yeah.
So let us know what you think about this episode. If you feel that, when you share your suffering, if it helps, and if you maybe consider sharing it more in the future.
Definitely. Share it more if you can with your community.
Yeah.
If that's possible, learn to open up more and be more vulnerable, because in the end, if you are vulnerable, that's the true way to connect, because nobody wants to connect to somebody that's shiny and perfect. They want to see that through your defects and your faults, they can find like those cracks they can actually cling on to and connect with. They don't want something that's perfect either. They need something they can connect with, some truth.
In the end, people want real.
Yeah, they want something that they can
want something that's real. If they're a real person.
If they're real, they want that. If they want just a shiny, fake relationship, they're not the right ones for you, and you can't share with them because they're closed off.
Well, thank you for listening, and please do go and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, because it does make such a difference to our community. So, see you soon.
Lots of
love and smiles and hugs from the English sisters. Bye-bye.